Hey out there, sports fans on the YouTube verse. I am a small town sports fan here in New Hampshire. Okay, and I have decided to make a YouTube channel talking about Boston sports. You hear everybody talk about it on the radio, all the sports people talk about it on the radio. Well, I figured, you know what? I like talking about sports. I'm a diehard sports fan. I played sports when I was younger, and I'm a diehard sports fan. So I decided, let's make a YouTube channel where you could listen to somebody who doesn't have a slice of the pie, isn't connected to any teams, is just a fan, be able to talk about what needs to be done to make these teams better, to make these teams back to being the city of champions that we used to be. And we're in July, so we're going to only focus on three teams today. We're going to focus on the Red Sox, we're going to focus on the Bruins, and we're going to focus on the Celtics. With the Celtics and the Bruins, they just had their draft and free agency, okay? So they're in their off season. They're in the time to be able to make their teams better. But first, let's start off with the Red Sox. They came out of the gate strong in April and May. They came out strong, okay? And they did well. June was rough. June was a rough month. You saw where this team is lacking talent. They need bullpen help desperately, and they need starting pitching help. And the trade deadline is 3 weeks away. The All-Star break is next week, and the trade deadline is 3 weeks away. Okay? So what they need to do is they need to start by making trades for relief help. Dombrowski needs to make trades to get a relief pitcher in here first, because I think that's what he's going to be able to get first. This bullpen needs help. You're relying too much on Koji, who's 41 years old. You're relying too much on him, and Tazawa just isn't the pitcher he used to be. You need bullpen help. The starter isn't gonna come until the closer you get to the deadline, because teams aren't gonna trade their starters until you get closer to the deadline. But you also need a starter, because you've got David Price, who isn't pitching like an ace. Porcello is doing good, but he's inconsistent. Buchholz is nothing now. He should really just be DFA'd and taken off the roster. You cannot have the types of like Sean O'Sullivan pitching to try to help get you into the playoffs where you want to be a contender and to win a World Series. You can't have it. You have to make moves to be able to make this team better. This is David Ortiz's season. It's his last season. You have to make things better to be able to help him go out on top. Okay? If you look at some of the names out there right now, Rich Hill and Jeremy Hellickson, those aren't going to do it. So starting pitching is going to have to wait. When you look at the relief market, you could go to Oakland and talk to them about Ryan Madson or Doolittle to try to get yourself some bullpen help, but you've got to do something. Dombrowski helped solidify the bench yesterday by acquiring Aaron Hill from the Brewers. And because Travis Shaw has a foot injury, Aaron Hill played. He played tonight, and he did pretty well. And I think he's going to be playing more consistently. I think him and Shaw are going to platoon. And it was a good first move for Dombrowski, but he's going to have to do more. He's going to have to. Okay? So, but that ends the Red Sox for right now, because there's not really much going on. They're in the last 3 games for the All-Star break, and then, they're done for the All-Star break. Okay, so let's jump to the 2 teams that are in their off seasons, the Bruins and the Celtics. And we'll start with the Bruins, okay? Like anybody, I'm a good hockey fan. And we all knew that the Bruins had to make moves. The Bruins had to make themselves better, mainly on defense, okay? Don Sweeney hasn't fixed that yet. He has not fixed the defense. David Backes is a great signing. Maybe a year too long, and the average annual value of his contract is maybe $1 million too high. And you're going to love Backes, fans. You really are. He's a grinder. He'll get into the dirty areas, and he will work for this team. And it's the heart in the locker room that you need to be able to get this team to fight. Okay? Because if you've looked at this team the past couple of years, they haven't had any fight. Okay? They need fight, and they've got it with Backes. And you're running 3 centers deep. You've got a spine down the middle now. Okay? You've got a nice spine of Bergeron, Krejci, and Backes. And you figure you still got August 15th coming up, where they could sign Jimmy Vesey, the 20-year-old college player from played in Harvard, who said that he would like to maybe play for the Bruins. So you've got that going for you. You'll see what happens because he can't sign until August 15th where he's coming out of college and he's a free agent. He can't sign until the 15th. It's just the rules of the league. But you need to get defense, which may cost you one of those centers. I would trade David Krejci for either Kevin Shattenkirk from the St. Louis Blues, or Cam Fowler from the Anaheim Ducks. They're both great defenders, and they would be your number one or number two defenseman on this team immediately, and this is what this team needs. They need to get defensive help. He has to do something, and he has to do it soon to be able to get the defense in here before the season starts, or the team's not going to make the playoffs. The team's going nowhere. I'm a Bruins fan, as you can see from the hat I got on tonight. I'm a Bruins fan, but it's not going to happen. They might make the playoffs, but they're not going to go far without a number one defenseman. It's just not going to happen. I like the way the team's set up so far. You basically got rid of Louis Eriksson and brought Backes in. And like I said, you're going to love Backes. Backes is a grinder. It's a great move for the Bruins getting Backes. Great move. Okay? But you got to get defense. And, maybe the next time I make a video, maybe Don Sweeney will have made a move for a defenseman. But as of right now, he hasn't. So you got to knock him on it. Okay? And now, the Celtics. The Celtics. This is the best time to be a Celtics fan. Okay? You figure you just signed the biggest free agent that the team has ever signed in Al Horford. Biggest free agent signing ever, Al Horford. Okay? He's great. He's a power forward center, 6'10", power forward slash center. He's a 6'10" power forward slash center. He's great. He will give you exactly what you need. Defense, offense. He is an upgrade to this team. But as Danny Ainge and owner Whit Grousbeck have said in the past couple of days, the offseason isn't over, and they're not done. Okay, you lost out on Durant. Durant's a weak. Durant showed that he's weak. Durant should not have chosen the Warriors. It showed that all Durant cared about was a win. That's all he cared about, was winning. He did not. If he would have came here, he could have been the key to a championship. Okay, but he didn't come here, so we're not worried about Durant. We're going to focus on what we're doing now. Okay, which is trades. There's nothing left out there on the free agent market for the Celtics. There's not. They're going to have to do it through trade. Now, you heard Danny Ainge last night said that he would like to be able to get a stronger center. Okay, you signed Horford, which, maybe you're seeing him as a power forward when you're saying you need a stronger center. If you look at the centers out there in the league, there's only one center out there that's strong and that could be available, and that's DeMarcus Cousins from the Sacramento Kings. And DeMarcus Cousins would be a beast. He's young. He's great offense, great defense. He's everything you are looking for in a center. The only problem is he's a knucklehead. He's some people call him a cancer in the locker room, but I'm thinking if you get him in the right situation with the ownership we have and on down from Ainge to Brad Stevens, it could work. Now you're going to have to give up some of those assets. Those two Brooklyn picks are probably gone. Marcus Smart, Avery Bradley, Jay Crowder, two of those three are probably gone too. But personally, I would do it because the only other option out there, center-wise, is Jahlil Okafor. 20 years old, second year in the league, but he's terrible at defense. He sucks at defense. All he's known for is his offense. So you would be relying on Horford to try to make sure that he's right there to be able to back him up because Okafor can't play defense. So, I would be okay with that because Okafor is young and you could teach him to play defense, but I don't know if I'd do it. I don't know if I'd be willing to do it. I know that you wouldn't have to give up that much for it, but it's just, I don't see it happening. I don't know what to do with that one. And there's always the Jimmy Butler talks. If I know that some of you followed the draft, some of you probably haven't, but there were the rumors before the draft happened that Chicago wanted the number 3 pick and other assets for us to get Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler would be great for this team. And you figure Chicago just signed Rondo and Wade, and Jimmy, Rondo, and Wade, they kind of all do the same thing. They all have to crash the net. There's no perimeter shooting there. Something's not going to work. You're gonna have to do something. You're not going to trade Wade, and you're not going to trade Rondo because you just signed him. So Jimmy could be available. Jimmy Butler could be available. That would be a name I would continue to watch. Okay, I would continue to watch that name because he could be available, and it could happen. So, just to recap, you figure we just talked about the Celtics and where they are, and we'll see if anything else happens within the next couple days here. If anything happens, to be able to make them a better fit for them. You know, you never know. Something might happen this weekend or beginning of next week that would make it worth everybody's while. Make it worth everybody's while to to do something. It could happen. So we'll see what happens with them. With the Bruins, like we said, Backes is great. You're going to love Backes. If you're a hockey fan or a Bruins fan, you're going to love the way the Bruins have set up their team with 3 centers, even though, like I said, they need defense, and the only way to get it is to probably give up Krejci. You're going to have to give up Krejci, and I know that'll hurt fans because it'll hurt me. You know, I love Krejci, but Krejci's getting up there in age. He's 30 years old, just coming off a hip injury. You might need to sell on him now. Okay, so that recaps on the Bruins and where we are with them. And the Red Sox, we'll see what happens. I mean, the game hasn't ended yet tonight, but they're winning, so they could win that game, and they're back on a winning roll. But you got to make trades, and if worse comes to worse, you got to trade Farrell. I mean, not trade Farrell. Sorry, you got to fire Farrell. Okay. So that recaps kind of what's going on in the Boston sports world right now. Leave comments. Be easy on me. It's my first time ever doing this. Just wanted to try it out. See if maybe you can make something out of nothing, like they say. So be easy on me on the comments. Leave in the comments if there's anything any specific topics you want to hear, any specific other ideas that you want to hear, anything you liked, anything you didn't like. And until next time. Peace out, Twitterverse. I mean, not Twitterverse. Peace out, YouTubeverse.